This is my current Town Archer Hellmode build, and it's a build that can and will get you in the top 300 in leaderboard, so you can eventually earn some red crystals for you. Now, everything you see in here are on my main account, which has over 9 million waves, so things are on quite high level, things have quite nice items, but still you can use the same build on lower wave levels as well. You can use the same build on the 100,000 waves, you can use the same build on 50, 60,000 waves or so. I will go through this build today completely. I will go through every single unit, every single item I have in here. I will go through the treasures, the skill tree, everything related to the build, and also try to show you my items and also give examples on what you can run or should run if you have lower amount of skill points, if you are on a lower wave level than what I currently am, because most likely you are if you are trying to run this build for the first times, for example. If you want to see this build in action, check out the link in the description. There will be a video with a full Hellmode run and you can exactly see how I play this build out. But let's go through everything in this build right now. The basic thing to note first is that this is a Town Archer build, and 99.9% of the damage will be done by Town Archers. None of the other units are doing any real damage for the build. They are in here to boost your Town Archers damage and also to give crowd control so you can stall the enemy's advance during your Hellmode run. So 99% of the damage will be done by your Town Archers, and your levels of your units that you actually have in your build will not matter in Hellmode, except for the fact that if your unit is over level 10,000, you can use orbs on them. That is the only thing that your actual level of your units will matter, both on your heroes and your Town Archers. All other leveling will be done through the scoreboard system during your run. I will talk more about the scoreboard system in a moment. First we will go through the heroes, but that's the only thing. If you have level 10,000 units, then you can use orbs, but if you don't worry, you can skip them. You can still get to top 300 even if you don't have orbs on every single unit on this build. Let's start by going through the heroes and their items. In the 13th slot, I have Golem Master. Now, if you do not have the 13th hero slot, just skip Golem Master from this build, and especially if you can't reach his skill nodes in the summon skill tree. I will go through the skill tree in a moment as well. I don't think he will be worth before that anyway, so even if you have 13th slot, you can use Alice as well in here, another witch, to give you more crowd control. For the items, I have items that have cooldown skill level +1 line on both items. For Golem Master, cooldown skill level +1 lines give you tremendous value for your build. The lower your cooldown is, it will just increase you. It has potential to increase your score so much for every single CD you can stack in your build. There's some knockback and there's some stun lines on these items, but the golems from Golem Master, they cannot apply knockback or stun. I'm not sure if that's intended or if that's a bug, but at least for now they cannot do that. So basically you don't have to worry about anything else except for the fact that the items have a cooldown skill level +1 line in here. Then I have Dorothy in here with the poison promotion, because the poison promotion will give you monsters, the enemy monsters, a defense -20% for 2 seconds on hit, so that results in your Town Archer again be able to deal more damage towards the enemy monsters. And for the items, I am running stun, attack speed, cooldown skill level +1 line in here. Again, you will be seeing a lot of these lines on this build. And then I have double stun with cooldown skill level +1 line in here. Now you will want either stun or knockback lines for any crowd control units. Eventually you will want to go pure stun, but if you are in early game, you don't have pure stun items for all of your units, you will get a mix of stun and knockback. Try to get stun for things that hit flying monsters and knockback for things that hit ground monsters. That's a basic rule you can use. Eventually stun will be stronger, because for stun, slow and freeze you will get more damage through the skill tree. We will go through that in a moment. For knockback you won't be getting any increased damage, you just get a little bit knockback against the enemies. So eventually stun will be stronger to have done a mix of knockback and stun. But these are the items I'm running. If you don't have pure stun, you can use a mix of stun and knockback. Attack speed is a great line. +1 summoned unit will work in here, for example, would be a great third line in here to have as well, to give more skeletons. That means more crowd control for you. Same goes for the flying orcs. I have stun chance. A +1 summoned unit is especially great if you can stack that with the stun chance lines for flying orcs. And then some attack speed over here, and stun chance, slow. over here as well. There's a damage skill level as well. That also helps you. Cooldown skill level would be stronger, but I doubt I'm lucky enough to have an item like this with a cooldown skill level +1 line. Attack speed runes for every single crowd control unit. You can farm these if you have decent items to work with, then you can just get some attack speed runes to help you further give you more attack speed, more crowd control. Again, that makes your life easier during your Hellmode run. I'm also running the Orb of Agility in here to give more attack speed for my Flying Orcs. Flying Orcs are your #1 basically crowd controller against the flying monsters, who are extremely scary during your Hellmode. So try to invest in this guy. Try to get some stun items, attack speed items, +1 summon unit items for this guy if you can. Now, I'm running the fire promotion because I can get the attack speed skill nodes in the skill trees fire section. Now, in your early to mid game, you won't have enough points to get those points. So in that case, there's no point in running the fire promotion. And in that case, you can run the ice promotion instead for your early game. That will give you a natural slow for your flying orcs. So you don't have to worry about getting a slow line on your items for the flying orcs. So to start with, use the ice promotion instead. And once you eventually get those skill nodes, then you can use the fire promotion, because the fire promotion with the skill nodes will have more attack speed than the ice promotion, but you will still also need the slow line on your items in that case as well. Dark Ice Wizard is in here to give you a tremendous amount of control, both against ground monsters and flying monsters. His normal attack can freeze flying monsters, that's why he's set to target the flying monsters, and also his ground freeze will freeze every single monster on the screen basically on the ground. So that's a huge crowd control for you, and you will also get more damage against the frozen monsters as well through the skill trees, so that is great. Cooldown and cooldown skill level +1 line, these are the most important lines to get. Attack speed will further boost, but that's a secondary priority. The first priority will be cooldown skill level +1 line and cooldown lines for Dark Ice Wizard, and I have double cooldown in here with cooldown skill level +1 line as well. I would love to get a double cooldown stuff as well for this one, but I choose the cooldown skill level +1 line because that will be stronger for me. So if you can get cooldown items, get cooldown items for Dark Ice Wizard. If you can't get any items, he will still be useful. Just you will be able to cast him less often, which means you will have a little bit less control. I'm using the Sand Orb in here to give me occasional extra casts of Dark Ice Wizard. I feel like this is a strong one if your Dark Ice Wizard is a level 10,000, otherwise you will, of course, won't be having an orb in here. And then Slingers. Slingers are extremely great for Hellmode because they can hit both flying monsters and crowd monsters, so that they can apply crowd control on both. I have them set on near for myself, so that they will always keep on stunning the nearest monsters that are currently closest to my castle. Now I'm running double stun with slow in here for the sword. This is extremely beautiful sword for Slingers with some attack speed runes in here, and also some stun chance, attack speed, cooldown skill level +1 line again in here with some attack speed runes over here. So this will give you a lot of control against the enemies, both flying and ground monsters alike. And to fulfill it with an orb, I'm using the physical orb, which will give me a 20% attack speed. So more attack speed means more crowd controls, because they will be able to throw more spears during the same time. And with this setup and your skill tree, you will want to use the middle tier promotion, so this tier 2 promotion for Slingers, so that they are on physical type, which means they can use the physical orb as well. And then I have Angels. I kinda like Angels now after Druid nerf as a body blocker towards air monsters. They work quite well in my opinion, so they are set to air, and I'm using the teleport promotion, so the left hand side promotion, which gives you the instant teleport to target option in here. And items, I have cooldown skill level +1 lines with damage reduction line over here, so they can maybe tank one more hit before they die from the enemy. The higher score you will be getting, the easier they will just keep on dying, so that might help them stay alive a little bit and stay relevant a little bit further. Some stun lines in here won't hurt, but your first main priority will be cooldown skill level +1 line, then probably damage reduction, and then if you can get some stun lines, that's just a plus. I have hero damage skill level open here. You can use this open any hero basically on this build. This doesn't really do anything because 99% of the damage are done by Town Archers, but it's just, I have extra slots, so I just picked it over here. You can skip this completely. It won't help you really during your run. Zeus is here also targeting air monsters to give you a little bit more control against the flying monsters, because the flying monsters most likely are the ones that kill you. It could be ground monsters in your early game as well, but eventually your flying monsters will be your nightmare. I am running stun chance and slow in here with cooldown skill level +1 line. Thunderbolt rune is extremely nice to have, but this only drops from the expert dungeon, so in your early to mid game you won't be able to have that. In that case you just have to live without the Thunderbolt rune, but you can have stun lines, and slow lines will be great for Zeus. And same in here, I have a stun line and cooldown skill level +1 line. Now more stun would be better, but 2 stun lines will work for now, because I really want these cooldown skill level +1 lines for myself. And this orb you can ignore, he won't be doing any damage. Like I said again, it's just there because why not, I had a slot for it. It won't help you out really, so just ignore the rune on Zeus on this case. And our final unit for crowd controlling, basically for this build, every single unit up until now have been for the crowd controlling, stalling the enemy's advance. We have Mechanic Ram, which is great against your ground monsters crowd control. So he's set to target the ground. You could also use near, probably as well, check if that works better for you or not. I'm running double stun, slow again in here, same sword, kind of a sword that I have on my slingers, and also double stun in here. I have a lot of stun on my Mechram, and I feel he brings great value to you, because he has normal attack and he has a castable ability that will give you even more crowd control during your run. Some attack speed and some cooldown lines to fill that. But if you can get just in early game, if you can get knockback items for Mechram, that will get you started quite nicely. So knockback and stun, or a mix of those, will get you started for your run. And you will want to use the Mechanic Ram promotion, this one over here, for better results. And for the orb, I'm using Archer Speed skill level +1. This is a minor boost for you Town Archers, but you might as well take it if you have the orb slot. Again, don't worry about this if you don't have level 10,000 units. It won't make a huge difference. It's a small bonus for you. And then we can hop over to units that will actually help you boost your damage against Town Archers. So we have Dark Skeleton in here, who will give you Town Archer's critical chance and critical damage when he is cast. Try to get cooldown items for Dark Skeleton. I have double cooldown with skill duration runes. Skill duration runes can be used to further boost your damage output during your run, because you will have more uptime for this ability. These drop from the intermediate dungeon, so if you can't farm them, if you can't reasonably clear the intermediate dungeon, don't worry about these for now, unless you have really great items. But I have double cooldown on both items on Dark Skeleton with skill duration runes over here, so this will further help to boost your score. In here I have critical chance skill level +1 orb. You can use these green orbs to give you a little bit boost for your Town Archers as well, so a critical chance skill level +1 orb over here. Then we have the Dark Hunter, who will give the haste buff for your Town Archers. When you are doing your run, try to time your Dark Hunter and your Town Archers haste buff, like switch between those, so that you can have, if possible, 100% uptime for the haste buff. That will be one of the key things to help you increase your score, to help you deal constantly a high amount of damage to the enemies. So try to keep them up and running. You cast Dark Hunter first, for example, and then once that buff is running out, you cast the Town Archer haste buffs. And once those are running out, you hopefully have Dark Hunter ready again, so you can cast him again. I'm running a cooldown skill level +1 line in here with Archer range skill level +1 rune. This again, small boost. If you can get it somewhere, just throw it anywhere in your build. It's a small minor boost. And in here I have cooldown skill level +1 line again with some flat cooldown. This will be enough. In your early game, try to get cooldown items for Dark Hunter. At this level, I can just basically use these without much of a cooldown. I will have enough uptime for Dark Hunter and for the Town Archer's haste buff. But in your early game, if you can't get cooldown skill level +1 lines yet, then try to aim for double cooldown items for Dark Hunter as well. Similar items as for Dark Skeleton, that we just went through. Dark Necromancer over here is, again, you should know if you have been playing this game for more than 1 day, this is one of the key units. You have tremendous amount of boost for your damage because of the decrease of monster defense. This is so broken in this game. This is the single most thing, the best thing that can increase your damage. I have double cooldown items with some skill duration. Again, here same reason as for Dark Skeleton, it can help you further boost your score a little bit because you will have this debuff active for a longer amount of time every time you cast it, so you will have a little bit longer time for your Town Archers to kill those enemies while they are affected by the buff. So double cooldown in here as well. If I could get the double cooldown with cooldown skill level +1 line, that would be an improvement, but these are more than enough for me to use. I don't even have an orb in here. There's not many green orbs that I would need for this build. I have basically everything checked that will actually do something for the build, so it's just empty. If you, some of the previous orbs we went through, you can use them in here if this one is on level 10,000 and some other unit isn't. Then Pure Wizard, another key unit to lower your cooldown so that you can actually cast stuff during your run. Double cooldown is what you want for your items for Pure Wizard, same items basically as you want for your waving, as well as low cooldown as you can possibly get. I have Lightning Mastery skill level +1 in here. Again, this won't be doing anything, you can ignore this one completely. It gives you maybe 0.0001% more damage during a run. Not even that, it's even less than that, so just completely ignore that one as well. There's a lot of orbs that you won't be needing during your run. Then finally, Dark Assassin, who will be responsible of debuffing the enemies, giving them this +200% damage on the next critical strike debuff. Again, he is set to target air monsters so that he can apply it more often, a little bit more often to the air monsters. And in here I'm running, the key things you want to run in here are cooldown skill level +1 line again, if possible attack speed and cooldown lines. If you can have double cooldown items for him, that's probably a very good thing to have in your early and mid game. Currently I just have cooldown skill level +1 lines, and I have a single cooldown line over here with a cooldown skill level +1 line here. All these other lines in here are useless. Own bonus gold, these are useless runes for Hellmode. This is my old wave build accessory that I used on Assassin, so that's why it has these runes. Ignore them, they are not needed for the Hellmode. And I have some attack speed in here, some knockback that won't be doing anything, so cooldown would be more beneficial to have in here for sure. Slash rune helps you. It drops from the intermediate dungeon. Again, if you can't farm that yet, don't worry, you can use Dark Assassin even without it. Eventually it will help you a little bit to maybe allow you to apply a little bit more debuffs to the enemies during your run. For the orb, I'm running the Lightning Orb to give Dark Assassin more attack speed so that he can throw more daggers per second, because every single basic attack and his area attack, all of those will apply the debuff. So you will, if you can boost the basic attack speed a little bit, you will get a little bit more value out of your Dark Assassin. For leaders, I'm running double leaders with the Black Pearl Treasure. We will go through treasures after this one. The main important thing you want to have in here is the cooldown skill level +1 line. The leaders won't be doing damage, they will be most likely dying quite early during your run, so none of the other lines will really matter. Cooldown skill level +1 line, if you can get these, will help you the most. And damage skill level, this is one of the best green orbs you can have in your Town Archer Hellmode build, so you can use this on any hero that can use orbs, is on level 10,000. Basically, just to give you that 2.5% increased damage. This will affect your Town Archers as well. And then on Zero as well, same thing. If you can have cooldown skill level +1 line, damage skill level rune as well, you can use this on any unit. Basically, you can, I have put it in here, but you can use it on any other unit as well. That's also a minor boost for your Town Archers. But cooldown skill level +1 line for both items in here. If you can't have cooldown skill level +1 lines for both leaders, then it's probably not beneficial for you to run 2 leaders. I will discuss that when we go through the treasures as well. And here, Fire Master skill, minor boost for your Town Archers, because they will be doing fire damage during this run. That's also when we go through the treasures. But this is a minor boost as well. You can use this orb to further boost your Town Archers damage a little bit. So you have these small, tiny bits that will boost your Town Archer damage a little bit and a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. And once you can stack more of those and more, you will eventually be able to get higher score. That's just how it really works. And then the actual bad boys, so the Town Archers, because they will be responsible for doing damage, you will want to have as good items as you can get on them. I have this E-bow with double fire damage, attack speed, and cooldown skill level +1 line. And you can only use E tier items on your Town Archers if you can get this can be equipped to Town Archer rune. This only drops from the expert dungeon, so unless you can farm expert dungeon, you cannot use E level items. In that case, you are stuck with S tier items, but they are more than enough for you to get into that top 300 rankings. So for the accessory, I'm running an S tier item with double critical damage, attack speed, and fire damage runes as well. You can get attack speed runes quite easily in beginner dungeons, so I would recommend going with those when you have items that have 2 useful lines for Town Archers. So useful lines for Town Archers would be fire damage, normal percentual damage, critical damage, and attack speed. Those 4 lines will be beneficial for your Town Archers. If you can get S items that have both items have 2 of these lines, so critical damage and fire damage, or even attack speed, then you will be good to go. Best set would be to get like double critical damage and double fire damage, most likely like I have in here, so that would be the optimal set to have. But in case you can't have E items, you can use other set like in here would be double critical damage bow, for example, with attack speed runes, and double fire damage bracelet with attack speed runes. Again, it can be a fire damage and critical damage, or damage and fire damage, or whichever combination you can get, but this would be the most optimal one to have. For the orb, there's basically 2 options. When you Town Archer reach level 10,000, you can get an orb for them. You can run the Orb of Crisis, as I'm running in here, or you can run the Orb of Luck, which will give you more critical chance for your Town Archer. So this would be probably the one you want to start with and experiment with. But eventually, the Orb of Crisis will be stronger for your Town Archers, because it will give you such a tremendous amount of attack increase, but it only works if your HP is below 50%. This means you have to artificially make your castle HP to be below 50% all the time, and you cannot heal during your run. So it's extremely scary to do the runs like this with this orb, but this will result in higher score most likely than with the Laku orb. But it's one of these 2 orbs that you want to use on your Town Archers. The other ones will boost your damage as well, like damage orb or critical damage orb, but they won't be as great as these 2 orbs over here. Those are your 2 options basically for your Town Archers. For the altar, you can use either the Altar of Arrow for Town Archer attack, or the Altar of Falcon for Town Archer attack speed. Both will work. You can test for yourself which one feels more natural for you, but both of those will boost your Town Archer's damage. You can only use your altar once per run, so try to use it as late as you can. The later you can use your buffs, the higher score you will eventually be able to get. Uniguild or Archer Guild in here will boost your Town Archer's damage. Bar in here will increase the amount of our slingers and angels, so it's a great building to have in this build. More angels, more slingers, more crowd control, so that's a great thing for us. And then spring water to reduce the cooldown of everything from this build. For the castle parts, you will want to run the fire castle based, because your Town Archer will be doing fire damage for this one, so you can increase that damage by +15%. For the upper section, the sealed castle is what you absolutely want to have, because it will increase your defense. None of the castle parts will be doing any damage during your run, so they are not there for damage. They are only here to boost your defense and crowd control. The other options you have are the Frozen Castle and the Poison Castle. Now, it depends if you can reach the skill nodes in the skill tree for these 2. So if you can have the Ice Tree, then you will want to have the Frozen Castle for more slowing. If you can reach also the Poison nodes, you can then have the Poison Castle as well. The apply that poison buff for the enemies, but in your early game, Poison Castle will also be useless. You can just completely leave this empty as well. So these are your options for the castle parts. And then the towers, I have mirrored Frozen Tower in here, so that I can apply a little bit more slow for the enemies. Like, this is a minor boost. The more slow you can apply, always the better. I have set him to target the air monsters, so he can first and foremost slow down the air monsters advance. I'm using the Cursed Orb in here on my Frozen Tower, so that I can apply this similar debuff as what Dark Necromancer gives, just a weaker version of it. So if you have your your frozen tower on level 10,000, you can use this orb on your frozen tower, or you can use it on your death worm as well if death worm is level 10,000 or more as well. You can use it on either. It won't make a difference who is it on. But this worm is here just to give a poison buff to the enemies. Again, if you don't have the poison nodes in the skill tree, it won't be doing anything for you. But you will get a little bit of MP regeneration from the worm, so might have the worm in this build. And I'm using the frozen orb in here again. Another red orb that will give you 2 ground monsters frozen for 3 seconds every 10 seconds. So it's a minor boost, again giving you a little bit more crowd control that you can use if you can pair orbs on your units. And I have defensive barracks, gives you 2 bodies on the field, very minor boost. There's not any options that we want to have in here. None of the towers either will be doing any damage because we are not leveling them for this build, for the runs. So might just have the extra bodies on the field. I hope they will do some body blocking, maybe distract the enemy for a split second or so. A critical damage skill level +1 orb in here. Again, minor boost for your Town Archer's damage. Alrighty then, the treasures. These are what I'm using in my build currently. The bow we want to use is Flame Bow, because once you are using this, your Town Archers will do fire damage. And through the scoreboard system, we can research so that the enemies will have less resistance to fire. So this will further boost our score. This is the strongest elemental bow you can have. If you were to run the Cursed Knife, the Cursed Knife does not give any elemental for your Town Archer, so you would be missing out on that elemental damage boost from the scoreboard system. That wouldn't be as beneficial for you. That's why Flame Bow is a stronger version to have. Also, that allows you to use fire damage lines on your Town Archer's items as well. The other treasures, I have the Power Claw in here, the best offensive treasure, and also Sharp Arrow to give you a critical chance. So these both will boost your Town Archer's damage a little bit further. And also then the Frozen Heart will make you deal plus 40% damage to frozen enemies. So you're constantly freezing your enemies through your Ice Wizard and also through the Golem Master as well, if you can run the Golem Master, because I'm running them with the Ice Golems promotion, so that further helps you deal more damage. But mainly for the Ice Wizard's freezing ability, you will get more value if you're using this treasure over here. And the Black Pearl is here so that I can have 2 leaders for this build. If you are in early game and you cannot get cooldown skill level +1 lines on both leaders, you can most likely run the Mechanic Giver in here. So in that case, your skill treasures would look like this. So Mechanic Giver will give you a little bit more attack speed for your Town Archer, so that is a straight boost to your Town Archer's DPS in that way. So that's an option to use in the early game. But I'm using the Black Pearl because I have those cooldown skill level +1 line items. Then the full skill tree before we go through the score point system. And I have a lot of points on this main account, so this might look a bit chaotic for you. I will make an image version and I will link it in the description with less amount of skill points, so you can get a better look and don't get too distracted by the amount of points I have in here. There's a lot of things that are not required for this build and you can use it with much less points. But I have so many points that I can just take these very minor buffs for my build. And when you are starting with your Town Archer build, you should start from the ice tree instead. You should start from here and you will get this node over here that will give you a more slow chance. This will help your frozen castle to be able to slow monsters as well. So you will naturally get this once you go through the ice tree. And then you will get these 2 nodes that will make the slowed monsters take 5% more damage each. So every time you can slow enemy monster, you can deal more damage to them. So having those slow lines will help not only slowing the enemies to advance, but also making sure you can deal more damage to them. If you can afford these 3 points over here, you will get a little bit longer duration for your freeze for your Dark Ice Wizard. So this will help you again deal more damage while they are frozen. You can sacrifice these if you need to reach something else in your early game, but once you can afford this, then it will be a boost for you. The sword node over here is strong. These are basically the only things in these 3 sections that will directly boost your Town Archer's damage. So every time you can get a sword node in a skill tree branch, pick that one, because that's a great boost for your Town Archer damage. Then we have over here Frozen monsters take 10% more damage. So, like the Frozen Heart Treasure, this will increase damage against frozen monsters. So, Dark Ice Wizard will give you more value when every time you cast his ability and every time he's normal that can freeze any monster. And then you will go through the Ice Tree and you will get this Town Archer section over here. This will be the single best thing to boost your damage output during your run. So this is your first priority to get. If you can't get this, then getting into the top 300 will be extremely hard. And in here, you will need to pick whichever points you need to activate for your Town Archer, depending what kind of items you have for them. You will have to get this node over here so that you can use S items on them. And then from these 4 points over here, you will need to pick what lines you have on those items. So if you have fire damage, you will need to get this line, this node over here. If you have critical damage lines, then you need to pick this one over here. If you only have fire damage and normal personal damage lines, for example, then you just need these two, and you don't need these two on this lower section. But getting some critical damage would be beneficial eventually for you, but that depends on your early game luck, what kind of items you can get. If your Town Archers are level 10,000, you can then get this orb slot, so you can use orbs on your Town Archer. That is also a tremendous boost for your Town Archer damage, and this is, once you get this, it will boost your damage so much, so that's a valuable thing. These 3 nodes over here are useless until you can farm that XP dungeon, so these in your early and mid game you will completely skip, so you won't have to worry about these. Once you are done with the Ice Tree, I would recommend that you travel through this inner section over here. Because our Town Archers are doing all the damage, we don't have to worry about these less damage nodes over here that will give us penalty normally when we skip through to the next tree. So we can just freely move through the intersection over here towards next tree. So I would next make my way through here to the summon tree and get the immortal summons nodes over here. So this one, summon only once, and the respawn node over here. So these 2 nodes would be the next pick, and also the Slinger Pierce node. Slinger Pierce node will give you much more crowd control for your slingers, so that's a tremendously valuable skill node to have. So these would be the pick you have. Basically everything else in the summon tree is just an extra thing. As long as you get these, that will be a good enough start for you. Golem Master does require this skill node over here to be useful. So you will have to go down here, get the sword node again. If you have points to spare, sword node is again important to have in this tree as well. But you would have to go through here to get this node for your Golem Master. So if before you can get this, Golem Master will likely not be beneficial for you to have, because this will allow you to have 4 ice golems on the field once you are doing your run. But as you get the immortal summons and Slinger Pierce node, then you can, and also the sword, then you can go through this section over here again to this lightning tree. And in here, you will get this increased damage to stunned monsters. Again, if you can apply stun to them, they will be stunned. They can advance towards you as fast. But also, you will be doing 15% more damage to them, so this helps your Town Archer deal more damage. This is an extremely valuable node to have in this tree. And then the next thing you will likely want to get is these assassin nodes over here, especially this one as well, so that you can apply the debuff to the enemies more often. That means just more damage against the enemies in here. The sword node is in here as well, very valuable to have, and eventually these flying monster damage nodes over here as well, because the flying monsters are super scary. In Hellmode you want to get rid of them as fast as you can, if that's possible. Everything else in here is extra, they won't be helping you. Zeus nodes can be taken in here if you have extra points, so there's a quick charge duration for Zeus, and also this one as well. So if you have points you can get these, but these are not your first early game priority to have, rather than maybe more of a late game priority for you to have. But these are the first options, that your first priority you want to have in your lightning tree. So the assassin nodes, the stun node, the sword node over here. There's some attack speed nodes in here as well. These will give you Dark Assassin a little bit attack speed, so he can apply the debuff a little bit more often. So again, minor boosts, not a priority, so skip those until you have everything else that you really need in this build. Next step after that, in my opinion, would be to go from the ice tree towards the physical tree over here, so that you can get these 2 nodes over here that will give you 10% increased attack speed per node for physical type units. This will give you slingers more attack speed, so that means more crowd control for your slingers. And then you can get this +1 second of haste duration. So haste buff duration +1 second for both Hunter and the Town Archer buff. So this should help you to upkeep that haste buff for 100% of the time during your run, preferably. So this is a boost for your Town Archer's DPS output. And the sword node in here is also helpful, again, to boost your Town Archer's damage. Everything else is just extra plus. This +1 arrow of all archer types. This does not help you Town Archer, so do not pick this. This is just because I have extra points in here. Do not get distracted by this one. You won't be needing this point over here. And that would be your basic necessities for this skill tree. The next ones we have left are the fire tree and the poison tree. In the poison tree, you will want to get the sword node and then these 3 nodes over here. So basically these nodes over here that will decrease the defense of poisoned monsters by 1%. Again, this will help you deal a little bit more damage to the enemy monsters. So this is a minor boost as well for your Town Archer's damage output. You can get this one as well if you have extra points. This will make sure the enemies stay poisoned for a longer duration, so that these debuffs will apply them better. So that's a minor thing also if you can afford that point. In the fire tree, you will want to get the sword node again, first and foremost. And then over here, you will have these 2 attack speed nodes over here. So these are your next priority after that one. When you have both of these, then you can switch your flying orcs to be on fire promotion for increased attack speed. At that point, again, you will want to have a slow line on them. Before that, you can just use the ice promotion for flying orcs without any slow lines on your items. But eventually, these will give you more attack speed for your flying orcs. Everything else is basically a plus. You will in here get +2 bombs for your mechanic ram when you cast this ability. Again, that helps you a little bit for your crowd control, but that's a minor boost. This is a low priority section again in here for your skill tree. But those are the things you will want to have. Everything else is just a little plus. This node over here will allow you to have orbs on your towers, so you will want to pick that when you have level 10,000 towers if you want to use the red orbs, for example, on them. Least nodes over these will possibly help your leaders to stay alive a little bit longer, but they will die eventually no matter what you do. So these won't be necessary as well. These are also low priority nodes over here. These ones are also low priority. Everything in here is low priority. The ones I went through before are the high priority nodes you will want to get for the skill tree. And then finally, the score point system. In your Hellmode run, this is what I start my runs with. You should not start your runs with this kind of a layout over here exactly, because you won't be able to make use of this many extra points over here. So all the leveling during your Hellmode run is done through this scoreboard bonus point system over here. This first option over here will give you levels for your heroes, leader, and towers. This one will give your castle levels, and this one will give you Town Archer levels. Now, the highest thing we will wanna, the high priority thing you wanna level is this one over here, because you wanna boost your Town Archer's damage. Then on the lower section, on this section you have these 3 options. The bonus gold is used as do not touch the bonus gold. That's just you don't want to go there. These 2 options will give you points faster and bonus points every time you earn points, so you get points for killing monsters during the run. So these will, depending how high you can score, you can put points in them, but do not start with this. Is like if you can get similar score that what I can get then on my main account, then you can start with this. Otherwise this is too much for you and you won't be able to earn the points back to get value from these bonus points. I will discuss a little bit on your early game score points as well. In here on the lower section, we want to max out this fire resistance over here. That will make the monsters take more damage from fire attacks. And again, Town Archers are fire damage dealers for this build, so you want to max out this stat over here. cold resistance, lightning resistance, poison resistance, physical resistance are useless for this build. 0 points in them, do not touch them. That's just points wasted for this build. Freeze duration resistance, stun resistance, slow resistance are great. You will wanna invest in these. And then there's knockback resistance as well, which depends on your items mostly if you want to invest in this or not. I do not invest currently in knockback resistance at all. All of my units just have stun items so that they will just keep on stunning the enemies instead. There's no really knockback lines in my build, so that I don't really need to put any points in here. That also means I have more points that I can use elsewhere, so it's more cost efficient to not run knockback. But in your early game, you will most likely run a mix of stun and knockback lines, so you will wanna level this one as well a little bit. So let's reset this one right here, right now. So in the beginning, you will have 1,000 points to use. And the first thing when we start the run, you will wanna level the hero damage, hero level to level 51. On level 51, your heroes will reach their maximum potential. Mainly Dark Assassin's debuff ability will reach its maximum potential, so you will wanna have level 51. You don't have to touch this afterwards at all, so your heroes won't be doing any damage. You don't have to waste any more points in this one. In your castle section, you will wanna get, this depends, if you cannot have any orbs, so if you're just starting out, or if you are using the luck orb, then you can just level this to whatever level you wanna have it in the beginning, maybe 150 for example, and then never touch it again. You can try if you wanna go for level 100, 150, 200, which works for you the best. Of course, the less points you have in here means you have more points to use elsewhere, but also the more easily it's for you to die during your run, because basically every single enemy can destroy your castle if your castle level is too low. So if you are running the luck orb or no orb for your town archers, start with this kind of score. If you are running the crisis orb like I am in here, then you will wanna start with a lower amount of level for your castle, for example 50, and then you start the battle like this. I will demonstrate it, and then immediately once you start, now you can level your castle a little bit more if you have any points unused before starting the battle, and make sure it's just a little bit over double the level of your previous castle. So when you do this, now you can see that the HP of your castle is below 50%. So this will activate the orb, the crisis orb, for your town archer. So you have to do it this way, otherwise you have to voluntarily take damage, and that's just unreliable method. But it's an easy way to get that orb started right from the beginning of your battle. So if you're using the orb of the crisis orb, then you have to do it like this. So make sure you have less than 50% of your HP when you are running that orb. Let's cancel this run over here. So if you're running crisis orb, then you do this. But if you in your early game, you can just pick this and go for 150 for example, and start with that one. And then you will wanna max out the fire resistance. Like I said, you can do this in the beginning if you have the points to spare, like in here you will have in your early game if you are not spending them on the bonus points too much, which you should not be doing. So you can just max this out, so you don't have to worry about it during your run at all anymore. And then you can try putting 1 point in here for your first tries. It's not beneficial to go too heavily into this, like I said before, but you can start with this one and experiment and try to learn how the Hellmode works. And once you are getting a bit higher score and you have more items, you have more skill points, you can start experimenting slowly if you can put more points. Like if you can go with like a 4-1, this would be 3-1, this would be your testing grounds, if this will be any sort of beneficial for you, if you can get a better score with this setup or this starting point over here. In the early game, use this one, and then you can afterwards you can try this one for example for your starting points, and then eventually like 5 and 3 and so on, and then 5 and 4. But that's very late game stuff, because this takes a lot of points. As you can see, if you put 5 points in this air points faster section, that costs you so much points So you have to earn all of these points back before you start getting value from this one. And that means you are also weaker during your early run, so you might just die because you don't have enough resource to level up your town archers. You won't be having enough damage, so you can't go too heavily in this in the beginning. Same as for this one, the bonus points. So if you put 1 point in here, it will cost you 50 points. And you will get 5 bonus points every time you earn points. So you will have to earn points 10 times during your run before you have paid back this investment, this 1 point investment. And after that only you will start getting value from it. So you can see you can't go too heavily into these in the beginning. You can start with this one, for example. Then at this point, you can, if you want to start with, you can just put like 10 points in these resistances. If you are using knockback as well, you can probably start with something like this and then just spend everything else on your town archers. Now this would be a pretty decent starting point for you if you are starting practice out your Hellmode. How many points, and when you earn points, you will want to mainly just now keep on leveling your town archers. You can basically ignore everything else after starting your run. If you have great crowd control lines, you can experiment if you want to invest more points in here. In your early game, that's probably not beneficial for you, but as you get higher score, as you get better items, you will want to invest more into these sections over here as well. Like for example, myself on my main account, I max out the stun to plus 50, minus 50 eventually. I get like 45 to 50 points on slow resistance and 45 to 50 points on freeze resistance. So I invest in these quite heavily during the run, but that's also very expensive. So if you go too heavily, you won't again have enough levels for your town archers. So maybe something like 20 points in this would be a great thing to experiment with. Start with this, do your run, and then try another run with like 20 points in them. Eventually during your run, you can just keep on leveling them during your run. Again, check the actual run video I made earlier so you can see on my main account how I play things, how I level stuff, and try to see if you can copy that for yourself. But this is something you can try. And again, just keep on leveling your town archers. They will be doing. Do not level your hero. You don't need to level your castle either after starting. Just keep on leveling your town archers and pump their damage. And that will be your scoreboard system, how it should go. And before wrapping up, one final most important tip I can give for you for your Hellmode build is practice. The more you practice, the more natural it will start feeling for you to play this game. You won't be able to score very well in your first try, no matter what you do. Even if you have a perfect setup, you won't, because you have to learn how the game works, how the game mode works, and how it feels for you to play. So practice, practice, practice. That's the single most important thing you can do in here. Now good luck. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. I will see you in the next one and in the Discord.
See you there.